parameter is displacement. As we have discussed, there will be two components of displacement. Since equation, these motions are in a plane. Motion in a plane. Every parameters other than time, vector parameters. Parameters which are vector quantities will have two components. One is x component, one is y component. Since time is scalar quantity, it has only one component. So vectors can be resolved into x coordinate and y coordinate. This is scalar. We cannot resolve into x and y component, but vector quantities can be resolved into x component and y component. Similarly, we have ux. What is ux? Initial velocity. Uy, that is final. Sorry, uy is the x component of initial velocity. Ux is the x component of initial velocity. Uy is the y component of initial velocity. Similarly, Vx and Vy. Vx and Vy. X is the velocity at that point. X component of the velocity at that point. Y is the y component of the velocity at that point. Final velocity. When we are talking about point A, the final velocity, we are referring to the velocity at point A. When I am talking about final velocity at point P, I am talking about the velocity at point B. When I am talking about velocity, final velocity at point B, it is velocity at point B. For point O, it is initial velocity. Since it is the initial point, for point O, it is the initial velocity. For point A, initial velocity will be the velocity at point O. For P also, initial velocity will be the velocity at point O. For B also, initial velocity will be the point B also. But final velocity for point A is velocity at point A. Final velocity at point P means velocity at point P. Final velocity at point B means velocity at point B. But initial velocity will be always point O, since O is the initial point. What value is at O point? This is not 0. This is point O. Then our point A, then point P and point B. These four important points we will discuss. Again, acceleration is A and A y. Acceleration is x and y. X component of acceleration. First start with time. What is time? At point of the time starts. Let us take it as 0. Then total time, suppose we have taken t to reach O to B. It has taken time capital T. This is known as time of flight. It is a flight or jump by the object. Yes or no? So total time taken by the projectile to reach from ground to ground. Here it is ground. At point B it is at ground. That total time taken by the projectile is known as time of flight. From O to B, it has taken time T. A is the half point mark. A is a point, half of the path. So it will take time T by 2. If T is the time of flight to reach point A, it is symmetrical. O, A and AB are symmetrical in nature. So it will take time T by 2. At random point T, we assume it is T second. Okay. To reach point P, let us assume a random point. So randomly we have taken suppose t second. What is sx? What is sx? Displacement along x axis. This is our points O, P, A and B. Suppose we are taking this length as R. We are taking this length as R. Suppose we are taking maximum height as YM. Maximum height as YM. These two parameters we are taking. So for point O, what is horizontal displacement? 0. It has not moved along any direction. So horizontal direction is 0. Vertical displacement is 0. To reach point where the coordinate is x, y, it has to move x direction along x axis and y direction along y axis. So this is horizontal displacement, this is vertical displacement. So for point P, this will be x, this will be y. If this is r, this length is r by 2 and this is ym. So to reach point A, it has to travel r by 2 distance along x axis and ym distance along y axis. So horizontal direct to reach point A, it has to move r by 2 distance along x axis. So this is horizontal displacement. And ym distance along y axis. This is vertical displacement. Similarly, to reach point B, it has to move r direction along x axis. And how much distance it has to go up? To reach point B, does it have to move any direction along y axis? To reach point B, the object is traveling r distance along x axis. To reach point B, whether some distance has to move up, we have to move it up. No means what? The vertical direction is in vertical direction. The movement should be 0. Ux and uy belongs to point O. For all these points, it will have same value. So initial velocity for all these points will be what? Ux is u cos theta, ux is u cos theta, and uy is u sin theta. We have discussed. If u is the initial velocity of the projectile fired at an angle theta with horizontal, the x component of initial velocity will be u cos theta. Y component of initial velocity will be u sin theta. This table is very important to calculate or express 4 expressions. Velocity, x component of final velocity, y component of final velocity. Since no horizontal force is applied, horizontal acceleration will be 0. Since F equals to m a, Fx will be m into ax, Fy will be m into ay. Since Fx is 0, mass of object is not massless, means mass is not 0. So acceleration is to be 0. So throughout the motion, the horizontal acceleration is 0. The horizontal acceleration is 0. And the vertical acceleration, what is Fy? It is gravity. So acceleration Ay will be acceleration under gravity. So the value will be plus or minus g. But from O to A, acceleration is acting opposite to motion. From A to B, acceleration is acting in the same direction of motion. So Here deceleration, here acceleration. Here property of acceleration is decreasing velocity. Here as property of acceleration is increasing velocity. So here minus g, here plus g. So ay will be plus or minus g. Plus or minus g. Plus or minus represent the direction of acceleration. The magnitude will be g. That is 9.8 meter per second square. Plus or minus represent the direction. Final velocity, we know this will be these values we have to put for A, P and B. Here this is O is the initial point. No final velocity is required. What is final velocity? How we can calculate? If we apply equation of motion. If we apply equation of motion, we want to calculate final velocity. For calculating final velocity, this is the equation of motion we have to use. V equals to U plus AT. Vx will be Ux plus Axt and Vy will be Uy plus Ayt. So for Vx, Ux is U cos theta and Ax is 0, means this term is 0. So Vx equals to U cos theta. Vx equals to U cos theta. That is Ux. That is nothing but Ux. So throw of the motion. Since there is no horizontal acceleration, there will be no change in velocity along horizontal direction. So at every point Vx will be Ux. There is, remember, in projectile motion there is no change in velocity along horizontal. Horizontal component of velocity remains constant throughout the motion. Then how velocity changes? It is decreased from O to A and A to B. Some component of velocity will be decreasing, yes or no? Suppose your total worth is the money you have and the ornament you have. Your total asset is the money, the currency you have and the asset you have, that property you have. Suppose my money is fixed. My money is fixed throughout my lifetime. Suppose I have 50,000 from birth to death, but my asset is increased and decreased or decreased and increased. How it is possible? My ornaments, the value of my ornaments is changing, yes or no? Since x component remains constant throughout, how total the resultant velocity will be varying, since y component is varying. So x component remains constant throughout the motion, but velocity has decreases then increases because the y component has decreases then increases. So here Vy, here at point A, the y component is 0. The y component is 0. Here y component starts from u sin theta. Y component starts from u sin theta. Here gh will be u cos theta throughout, that is ux. dy will be uy, that is u sin theta. So it is start from u sin theta. Here it is 0. Again at point B it will be what? Uy. It will be uy. Started from uy, at point O it is 0 and at point B it is again uy. So total velocity minimum here, again the same value at point B. P is a intermediate point. P is a intermediate point. It will have in between value. It will have in between value. What is that value? We have calculated from this point. Dy will be uy minus gt. uy minus gt. dy will be uy minus gt. As ay is minus g, ay is minus g at point p, and at point p time is t. At point p time is t. So we have to put in place of ay minus g and for time t. So the value is dy equals to uy minus gt. These are the parameters. If you understand this table, you have understood the projectile motion, because we have to use these points to calculate or express trajectory, maximum height, time of flight, and horizontal range. How we can calculate? We have to use equations of motion. We have to use equations of motion. So there are some important values. There are some important values or special values. 0 is a special value, because for solving any equation, one side of the equation should be 0. We can solve the equation if one side of the equation is 0. So which are our 0 values? So this can be used. The horizontal displacement at point B is, the vertical displacement at point B is 0. We have to remember, this is a special point. At point B, the vertical displacement is 0. Again, there is 0. This is important. This is important. At point A, the vertical velocity is 0. Again, these are 0 values. So these 2 points will remember. These 2 points will remember. Okay. The vertical component of velocity at point A is 0. Point A is 0. And the vertical displacement at point B is 0. These 2 points will remember. This is most important. This is most important. So we will go back to expressing our path of trajectory. Path of equation of trajectory. What? How can we represent the equation of trajectory? What equation? Equations means relation between x component and y component. For a circle, origin at center O, origin, radius r, the equation of circle is represented as x square plus y square equals to r square. What is it? The relation between x coordinate and y coordinate. So relation between x coordinate and y coordinate is termed as equation of any non-linear or linear line or path. All these are paths. Straight line is a path. Circle is a path. So equation of this path will be the relation between x coordinate and y coordinate. We are representing all these paths in coordinate geometry. With the help of coordinate geometry. In coordinate geometry, equation of any path means the relation between x coordinate and y coordinate. So our first task is to find out the relation between x coordinate and y coordinate for this path. What is the path? This is the path. This is the path. This is x-axis. This is y-axis. So all these points present on this path, all these points present on this path will follow this equation. So what will be the equation that all these points will follow? For this, first we have to use simple equation of motion, that is, we know Vx equals to what? Ux plus axt, dy equals to uy plus ayt, sx equals to uxt plus half t square and sy equals to uyt plus ay t. These four equations are mostly used. Other than two, we know two more equations we can write. That is dx square minus ux square equals to 2ax sx and dy square minus uy square is 2ay sy. These six equations are equations of motion for a moving object in plane. If an object is moving in a plane, the equations of motions, three equations of motion split into six equations of motion. Each equation of motion will be for horizontal component and vertical component. So each 3 into 2, we have 6 equations of motion, 3 for horizontal, 3 for vertical. So these 6 equations of motion will be used to calculate expression for different parameters. Firstly, what we can use is this equation. Since we are calculating displacement, x is the displacement along horizontal direction, y is the displacement along vertical direction. Sir.